Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Doug Pinner with Patrick Thompson on the Pinner and Patrick Show. We're out front of Anytime Fitness North Peoria this morning. We're going to go in and visit with our good friend Mary Lee, who runs the United Stroke Camp, United Stroke Alliance here in Peoria, and from East to West Coast as well. And then you're working with her husband, who is a stroke survivor. You guys are going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits and side effects that working out comes along with stroke survivors and their caregivers, and how they can benefit from that. I know you just wrapped up a session in there. John's toweling off.
Yeah, he's I think wanting more actually, so we might have to put him through a workout during the show today.
I know he was asking you a lot of questions there at the end. We'll get to those and many more when we get Mary Lee and her husband John, who is a stroke survivor, on air with us a little bit later. Hey man, what do you got rolling tomorrow night? Are you one of the 40 million people tuning in for that pay-per-view? Mayweather McGregor?
Maybe, we'll see. We have
what else you gotta do, man?
Someone's getting married. You gotta give some respect to the people getting married, you know, have some fun.
Much respect to those folks.
But then we might go watch it somewhere, so that's not till like 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah, hit the groom up. He should be able to float that pay-per-view for the whole audience. But I know I'll be watching it as well as many others. So think about that, 40 million at roughly $100. This fight is bringing in a ton of money. We're going to cover that along with your MLB Players Weekend. This weekend they get to have nicknames and some cool jerseys. I was just checking that out. Inside we have the PGA Tour FedEx Cup. We had a huge brawl in baseball last night. Who was it? You had the Yankees and the Tigers. Three bench clearing brawls. We're going to talk about all the ejections there, as well as the Cubs leading the NL Central over the Cardinals by 4 or 4.5 games. You guys got some issues in the bullpen we're going to address. Milwaukee's just kind of hanging around. The Cubs, man, what a difference a week can make. Yep, absolutely. The Cardinals are struggling. Cubs are doing good, and well, it is what it is. All right, so we're going to head in. I'm going to visit with Mary Lee, followed up by Pat discussing some things with John and how working out benefits him and his daily regimen surviving a stroke. So, and then we're going to hit on sports a little bit later on. Our picks, Mayweather, McGregor, coming up later. Stay tuned on the Pinner and Patrick Show. Hey, we're back on the Pinner and Patrick Show. My name's Doug Pinner, and I have my good friend Mary Lee in with us today on the Pinner and Patrick Show. Morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Well, thanks for being here. I know it was kind of a late scratch. I called you yesterday to see about coming on.
Perfectly fine.
To spread the word about what you do here in Peoria as well as coast to coast. So, Mary Lee, would you like to explain to the audience a little bit more about the United Stroke Alliance that you formed?
Sure, I would love to. I'd love to. I'm kind of here representing United Stroke Alliance, which is a really new umbrella organization. We started here in Peoria with Retreat and Refresh Stroke Camp, which was a weekend retreat for stroke survivors and their families. And as we did those camps and as we grew out of the Peoria area to closer to Peoria, Iowa and around, and then all across the country, we realized there's not much out there for stroke survivors and their caregivers, which led us to some stroke awareness, which led us to youth education and other types of things. So United Stroke Alliance was created a year ago, so that all those divisions serving stroke survivors would have one single focus.
And I know you have an office here in Peoria, which is located right off of Pioneer Parkway.
We do.
Just past Pioneer Parkway and University. It's back, there's a big sign out front, 2000. Yeah, and you guys are back in there. And you know, Mary Lee, you're like my second mom. We got to travel out to Kansas City
we did.
For an event.
We did.
And we got to talk a lot about what you're doing and some exciting things. And we got to hear Terry tell her story out in Kansas. And Terry told a story. They did a fundraiser out there.
Correct.
The food was phenomenal. John's jokes were even better on the way out there.
Yeah.
But you know, Terry's story really resonated with me, and I think several others in the room, is her son actually saved her life because he knew the signs of stroke.
He did.
Because of this youth education program that you guys do.
Correct.
You go into classrooms, 5th grade, correct?
Yes.
And what do you teach the youth? What are those signs that everybody needs to be aware of when considering if your family member or loved one or friend is having a stroke?
It's fairly simple. When we go into the 5th grade classes, we do a little bit of lecture and let them know a little bit about stroke and what it is. But the acronym that we use is FAST, and it stands F for face. If someone's having a stroke, they will probably have a droop on one side of their face. So you say, could you smile? And if the smile is uneven, there's an 80% chance they're having a stroke. A is for arms. You ask them to hold up their arms. It's best if you have them close their eyes, because then they can't look at their hands. And if one hand or arm droops, they could be having a stroke. A stroke, it usually is on one side of the brain. It will affect the opposite side.
Of the body.
Of the body. S is for speech. Have them say a simple sentence like, the sky is blue, the grass is green. And if they can't say it, or they're jumbling the words, or they don't even understand the question, chances are they're having a stroke. T is time. Call 911. Do not take a nap. Do not take an aspirin. Do not do any of those things that we think we should do. Don't get in your recliner and wait for it to go away. You need treatment, and the best way is with an ambulance and with 911.
Yeah, so a family member, my brother-in-law's father, had a stroke, and luckily his wife was there, recognized the signs, took him to the hospital. He does have some long-term effects he's dealing with, but thank goodness for the quick response. Same thing with Terry. So how did you become involved? Why did you want to start spreading the message about how important it is for stroke survivors, caregivers, family members to come together? What inspired you to do that?
Well, it goes back to when my husband had his stroke almost 16 years ago, and I got him to the hospital right away, and he had a pretty significant stroke. So again, we had to learn to eat and to walk and to talk and to do all of his activities of daily living. He couldn't even remember how to take a shower, what to do with the shampoo. I mean, he tells the story sometimes. It's like I was a baby again. His speech didn't come back for over 2 years, so it was quite a journey. And at about the 2-year mark, as a full-time caregiver, I'm like, I just can't do this the rest of my life. And that's what inspired me to start the first camp, so I could get to know other caregivers. We could share trials and tribulations of caregiving.
Yeah.
John could know other survivors, because we had lost friends, and things like that happen because he's really not the same person.
I got
even though he's still pretty phenomenal, but he's not the same person.
He's a heck of a great guy.
So we did that first weekend retreat in Central Illinois with the idea that that's what we would do, camps in Central Illinois. Word got out, and hospitals all across the country now sponsor camps. This year alone, we're going to do 33 in 20 different states.
I know every time, first off, you're one of the coolest people I know. You're on Snapchat, you're on Facebook, you have all these things.
You got it.
And you keep me up to speed on where you're at. I know you like your morning walks, and you'll send pictures of the mountains and where you're at.
That's right. That's right.
And I love how active you are, and I love how we formed a partnership between Anytime Fitness Peoria and United Stroke Alliance, where if there's any stroke survivors, caregivers, family members, you can come on in here for a significantly reduced rate.
Absolutely.
And we're going to work with those stroke survivors, caregivers, etc., to make sure we're doing what we can to get them out the door a little bit healthier, maybe clear their mind of some of the stress from day to day. But I really love the camps. I've been into your office. You know, my friend Kelly was working there. I had a lot of questions for her. And then before long, I met you, and then I'm like, boy, you guys do such great work. I put the United Stroke Alliance on my bag this summer when I was traveling around, and a lot of people came up to me asking me questions. So it tells me there's still a lot of work to be done.
Absolutely.
So 33 camps this year. Where is the next camp around this, the Peoria area?
We have one coming up September 8th, 9th, and 10th, and it's in Princeton, Illinois at Pilgrim Park. It's a lovely facility. And we still have openings for that. So if there are stroke survivors hearing this, they can certainly call our office or go through the website, which I think is going to be featured here.
Yeah, we'll have that on the bottom of the page.
Again, it's as much for the caregiver as for the survivor. You want a massage, you want a manicure, you want relaxation, a chance to discuss things that are going on in your life, some paddle boats, some rowboating, walks outside, wonderful food for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, no cooking, no doing dishes. So it's just really a respite. It takes us off the grid from what's going on in life. And one of the reasons I started this is because there's not a lot out there for long-term stroke survivors. Once they're finished with their hospitalization, their rehab, maybe their outpatient rehab, benefits diminish.
Yeah.
And, you know, go home and sit in your recliner. That's not quality of life. That's one of the reasons that I'm so excited about what you're offering, because it gets people out. And my husband is transformed again.
Yeah, yeah.
By being able to be here.
Well, and we love having both of you in here. And you know, when you talk about the stroke camps, I think anyone that has gone through anything significant in their life, I like to know or be able to have the resources to talk to others that have gone through similar circumstances that I have. It's a relatability that is like no other. And I've got to visit, I've had conference calls with some of the stroke survivors and their stories. I got a friend, John, in St. Louis. I need to get down and see John.
You do.
And Pat Clark and I are coming up to Oregon, I believe, in a couple weeks to get some video footage of the camp and help spread the word. My good friend Mary Lee with United Stroke Alliance joining me on the Pinner and Patrick Show, just talking a little bit, you know, if you're tuning in a little late, get back to the front of the show at Peoria Life and take a look at maybe getting involved in some of these camps. Maybe if you are part of a hospital organization and you're hearing this for the first time and wondering how you, the hospital, can become more involved in your community, please reach out to my good friend Mary Lee at United Stroke Alliance. Mary Lee, what's on your agenda the rest of today? I know you're super busy. I know you're super busy.
I am super busy. I'm working with some name badges and getting things ready. We don't have any camps Labor Day weekend, so it's our one respite weekend for the season. And then we're kicking up with 2 or 3 camps every weekend through October. So it's a matter of loading a van, getting things ready to go, sending people down the road, and just living life.
Mary Lee, you are always on the go. How do you keep up? I know, hey, when we went out to Kansas, right, for a meeting, we were in the van for a while. Mary Lee beat me down to the workout room. She already probably had 3 miles under her belt. I kind of contemplated taking a nap, but I knew you were going to be working out, so I got down to the gym, and you were already there. And we watched a little show, and we got to have some great conversation about a lot of the benefits. People are really smiling and happy and maybe find that new sense of rejuvenation after joining one of the camps. Sometimes you shared a couple stories of some first-time camp goers and maybe some of the nerves, but typically all of your stories towards the end, those people maybe the first time are really starting to open up come towards the end of the camp.
By the end of the camp, it's like a family reunion.
Yeah.
You know, even those that are a little apprehensive at first. And John loves to watch the new people come in, because he said, I look at their eyes and they're kind of afraid. But by the end of the weekend, it's like a family reunion. And even though people have been coming to camp for years, if there's someone new, it just seems like they can hardly wait to pull them into the fold, to pull them into that circle of love that camp has become. I mean, it was a silly little idea that I had. Who knew? I mean, I'm sometimes overwhelmed by how it exploded, but
it's a
I'm having a ball.
I think it's a tribute to your knowledge. You've lived it firsthand, so you're not speaking off the cuff. You're dealing with this every single day. And kudos to you and everybody at the United Stroke Alliance on what you do.
I don't want to be inerrant. We have an army of volunteers.
Oh.
We have about 25 volunteers that travel with us on their own time, along with a small staff. So I couldn't do this alone by any stretch. My brain thinks of a lot of things, but I can't execute without lots and lots of support behind the scenes.
I tell you what, your office, everyone in there, from the time I walk in to the time I leave, I don't want to leave. You guys are such a breath of fresh air. You do so much good for the community in which we live, and I appreciate that.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
And you know what? I guarantee you at home watching this right now, you know a loved one or know of someone that has endured a stroke. It wasn't shortly after our visit, one of our members actually had a stroke. And like I mentioned, my brother-in-law's father had a stroke very shortly after the very first time I met you, let alone past family and friends. So Again, my good friend Mary Lee joined us on the Pinner and Patrick Show. We're bringing your husband John on.
We are.
To visit with Patrick about some of the workouts they're doing, and I know he was full of smiles, so how about we get them on set?
Let's do it.
Mary Lee, thanks.
Thank you.
Such a delight.
Thank you very much.
If you want to learn more information about the United Stroke Alliance, please take a look at the bottom of your screen, check out their website, and feel free to give their office a phone call. They'll take the time to answer any questions you may have. My name's Doug Pinner on the Pinner and Patrick Show with my good friend Mary Lee at the United Stroke Alliance.
Welcome back to the Pinner and Patrick Show, everybody. My name is Patrick Thompson here with John Nunley. John and I just got done working out with him and his wife, Mary Lee, a little bit ago. John, how are you feeling?
Tired.
Tired?
You worked me hard.
We did some arm stuff today, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was that good getting back into the arm exercises today?
Oh, yeah. I used to lift a lot a long time ago, but it's hard to do it now, but I'm getting better.
Absolutely. You definitely are, John. And back when you used to lift a lot, you said, how much did you used to do on your leg press? 500 pounds? 500 pounds at least. I bet it's more than that.
But I don't know, I couldn't do it now.
You never know. You never know, man. You're doing good here in the gym with me. You're coming here once or twice a week with Mary Lee. You're doing some of the leg machines, the upper body machines, the cables. One thing that I told you that we're going to start doing a lot more was your back muscles, right? Mm-hmm. Helps you keep standing up a little bit more straight. I'm walking a little bit taller and just feeling overall better. I guess, what's one or two benefits that you see when you come to the gym after you leave?
Well, I think when I first come in here, I really didn't want to go because I'm tired in the morning.
Everybody's that way.
But then after that, I usually come in here and it makes me want to do it now. So that's what it does for me.
Very cool, very cool. What's the motivation for you?
Well, because make it stronger with my heart and everything.
Awesome, good stuff. And I know the very first time that John and I met, that we had to kind of tweak it a little bit after the first meeting, that your blood sugar dropped a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
And if you guys are out there listening and think that, oh, I'm not ready for it, you just got to play around with some things, you know what I mean? Like, you just got to do trial and error and make sure you're going slow to start. The next time you came in, I think you just ate a little bit later in the morning, closer to your workout, and took your glucose tablets right beforehand and then possibly during or afterwards. So from what I've seen, you've been making some great strides from day one.
Oh, yeah. I have to bigger than him. I'm out to get bigger than you now.
Yes, exactly. And in terms of like cardio,
yeah,
what exercise have you been doing for that?
Me at the gym here?
Yeah.
Oh, everything he tells me.
The bicycle, right?
Yeah, one of the things.
There you go. Now, with the bicycle, less stress on your knees, isn't it?
Yeah.
Much less stress than walking and maybe walking up steps.
Yeah. Going up on steps bothered me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the bike you're doing fantastic on. I know from day one you were doing 1 mile in 10 minutes. Today you just did 1.5 miles in 9 minutes 20 seconds. So that's a big improvement just by, I think, just working out a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
In addition to the exercise in the gym, you also are pretty active outside of here, aren't you?
I try. I mow,
yeah.
You know, and got a rider, and then I push one, so.
That's awesome. Very cool, John.
Try to keep big and strong, too.
Absolutely, my friend. So, John Nunley and Mary Lee Nunley with Stroke Camp here in Peoria, Illinois. John, you're a great guy. You're ornery, but I love working with you. Every time you come into the facility, it's fun, that's for sure. So, thanks for sitting in with us.
Well, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name's Doug on the Pinner and Patrick Show. I had to hop in here and talk a little bit with you, John. Geez, you were flexing on me just a second ago before we came on air. Man, I love your zest for life. Can you talk to us a little bit? I was visiting with your wife earlier about some of the things she notices at stroke camp. And, you know, I wanted to ask you personally, when you go up to one of these stroke camps, John, what do you notice? The guy that has had the stroke, what do you get out of the camps? What do you notice from the others? What do you think they're getting out of the camps?
Well, I think since I've been there.
Oh, hey, I got you. There we go.
Yeah. And anyway, I'm one of the lucky ones that I'm able to walk. And a lot of guys are in the wheelchairs and things. That's putting what do you call
Puts
it?
things in perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
But what do you notice about the people in the wheelchairs? They're still smiling. They're enjoying life,
they
aren't
still have a lot of fun. You know, it's fun going to these camps for the people. You know, some of them guys so good with their own wheelchairs they could spin it around whatever they want.
Get racing through the dining hall and swiping your buffet tray off the table.
Yeah, they have a lot of fun too.
What do you get out of the camp?
Seeing people.
Yeah. I know you're a people person, John.
Yeah.
We were out in Kansas, and I mean, you were shaking hands like you were the mayor of the town. We shared some stories. I took you to a real dive diner. If you ever get out by Hannibal, Missouri, stop in at old Cafe 3424. I don't know what number it was, but we couldn't get our egg rolls, but you capitalized on some onion rings, and I forget what I had, but it was, fried cauliflower. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was some place there.
I think capacity had a table of maybe 7, but probably shouldn't be talking about that in the health club. I know, John, you know, you're taking care of your health. So I think you're a true inspiration, buddy, because I think anyone that's been dealt a hand, you know, weren't you getting ready to retire when you had your stroke?
No, let's see. I've had my stroke 16.
5 years from retirement, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think you could have let that change you negatively, but you chose to go the complete opposite and look at this as a challenge and a positive situation, correct?
I've always felt that for me, I'm going to have to push. I'm going to push. I won't give up on it, you know.
Yeah. And getting to spend some time with you, John, like I got to see some of the things you have to think ahead of that I take for granted, such as hopping out of the vehicle, running in, checking in somewhere. It takes a little bit more of a method for you to get in there. And, you know, buddy, I just applaud you. And for those of you sitting at home watching this guy could have chosen the negative path, chose to take the positive. Look at my good friend coming in, working out with Pat, increasing your cardio endurance. You're smiling ear to ear when you're in here, buddy. I love seeing you come in. So if you're at home and you've encountered or have had a stroke or are a caregiver, just consider reaching out. Maybe check out the United Stroke Alliance, the stroke camp here in Peoria. They'll answer any questions you may have. I mean, it's coming straight from the lady Mary Lee and John, who has had a stroke. You're getting advice right from them, the ones that have encountered this and have been working on this and moving in the right direction and bringing so much joy to so many people's lives.
Yep.
What are you doing the rest of today? Did you get your yard mowed then this week or what?
I did part of it. I'm going to finish it up.
All right.
I don't want to go, you know,
well, if you
too
get it all
slow.
done in one day, then the chore list for the next day, there's more things on it. Way to pace yourself. This is my good friend, John. My name's Doug on the Pinner and Patrick Show. Stay tuned. We're going to come back and cover some of our sports coming up this weekend with the Mayweather-McConnor fight, as well as all the baseball news from the fight and standings coming up next on the Pinner and Patrick Show. Hey, what are we doing outside? We should be on a golf course teeing it up. Well, maybe.
Monday,
or
tee it up
getting
for the
a lesson.
troops.
Yeah, tee it up for the troops coming up Monday. I'm wearing pink. I'm partnering. I'm partnering with the American Cancer Society. So Real Men Wear Pink. We're making a movement here in Peoria. I know the mayor, a couple other people are on board as well. So please check out ACS Peoria. Check out who's involved in Real Men Wear Pink. Hop on, make a donation for me, will you? I'm doing this for my friend Callie. She's up north in the Morris area. Young lady has 2 children, has breast cancer, and you know, she's fighting a fight and staying positive. Our member Debbie, who we just did the Relay for Life this past Saturday, I'm honoring her as well in the Real Men Wear Pink. So please help me out, helping my 2 friends and the American Cancer Society. Let's raise a lot of money and kick cancer's butt. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the battle in the MLB yesterday between the Yankees and the Tigers. 8 people ejected. Did you watch any of this or see it on the news?
I saw some highlights, but you said that there's 3 brawls.
Yeah, I hope Mayweather lands more punches than what happened in this pillow fight between the Yankees and Tigers. 8 people ejected. It did get scary. MLB says the players enforce their rules a little bit if you get out of line, the unspoken rules. But it really shocked me when one of the guys yesterday got beamed right in the helmet, right in the head. I mean, I can see being thrown at in the lower extremities, but towards the head is unbelievable. 10-6 loss for Detroit. That was a crucial loss for them. Coming down crunch time, they need every win that they can get. Benches cleared 3 times, once in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning.
Nice.
Here are your players that are ejected. Tommy Canley, Batanis, I don't even think I said that right. Romaine, he's the catcher. Joe Girardi, Rob Thompson. Is that a relation of yours?
I do have a Rob Thompson cousin. Shout out.
Shout out to you, Rob. If you're the catcher. Brad Osmus, Miguel Cabrera, Alex Wilson. You know what? Cabrera came up, they threw behind him. Girardi came out, argued because the ump ejected his pitcher right away. Cabrera pushed the catcher, punches ensued. It is what it is. I think the umpires did a terrible job of officiating this ball game. I think they should have had a better control. I mean, there's no reason for 3 or 4 batters to get hit and one of them in the head. I mean, that could have ended very, very tragically.
Oh, yeah.
I think these pitchers need to understand too, when you're throwing with that type of velocity, I mean, you could kill someone if you hit them in the wrong spot.
Absolutely.
Obviously trying to send a message, but what's it doing for youth sports, you know, especially coming into the weekend where the MLB is announcing all these new uniforms. Players have nicknames on their backs. I think they need to set a little bit better example, such as a positive experience that happened at the Little League World Series this last week when St. Louis took on Pittsburgh in front of the Little League World Series players. At the end of the game, those 2 ball clubs have their differences, still went out to the center of the field, shook hands, showed great gamesmanship, and led by example. So hopefully the Yankees, Detroit, I'm sure there will be some stern fines being handed down throughout the ranks. Hey, this weekend, MLB is going to spicing up their uniforms. I saw the Orioles, I saw the Cubs, the White Sox, the Cardinals uniforms online just a little bit ago. They look awesome. Players can have spikes, nickname on the back of their shirt, wristbands, other things, you know, on their own versus following the dress code of the MLB. We have Mayweather, Connor's fight this weekend tomorrow. Largest bet on Mayweather, 1.2 million. Largest bet on Connors, 150,000. I think that just tells you there's a lot of people taking small bets on the long shot, but I do think Mayweather knocks Connors out. Probably about 6th or 7th round. What do you got?
I don't know. I think it's going to go down to a decision, and then I think Mayweather will win in a decision.
Oh, you took Mayweather? Okay, and you're a lot bigger than me, so that would have been a terrible fight on my part. Cubs are still leading the NL Central by a few games. Milwaukee's a couple games back. Cardinals 4.5 behind. Stay tuned over the weekend for your sports. Cubs went 7-3 in the last 10. Cardinals 3-7 in the last 10, right after I predicted you guys would win it. Lost my notes. We'll throw that book out the window. PGA Tour, the FedEx Cup is coming down. DJ Dustin Johnson, #1 player in the world, is leading at like 6 or 8 under. I can't check my notes right now. I thought we had a great show. If you're tuning in late, get back to the front. Check out our friends Mary Lee and John Nunley with United Stroke Alliance and Stroke Camp here in Peoria. Check out that message and progress on John. Pat, another great show, buddy.
Boom.
Boom. Another one in the books on the Pinner and Patrick Show. My name's Doug Pinner.
Patrick Thompson.
Have a great weekend, everybody.